Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Nah Stop Playing podcast. It's your boy Kwali, and I'm ready to get it started. Man. It's been a long time coming. I've been contemplating, debating, and in a sense, second guessing myself, but I'm finally here and ready to talk my ish. So, welcome to my podcast, people. Now, this is not going to be your typical podcast, and the reason why is because I'm here to speak from a very un-PC or unpolitically correct stance. Yeah, and I'm at that point in my life where I feel like I should be able to say what I want to say, how I want to say it, and that just be what it is. Like it's been a long time coming, people, and I'm finally ready to really talk about some very serious topics and just kind of get a following of people who you know kind of think the way I think in a sense or think outside of the box. I'm not gonna say think the way I think because at the end of the day, we're all individualistic in a sense, but sometimes we have a collective effort. So I want people to be able to listen to what I'm saying, hear what I'm saying, and be like, man, that's what I've been thinking for a good minute. So again, the whole purpose of this podcast really was for me to step outside my comfort zone. Well, I'm always stepping outside of my comfort zone, but actually, you know, share my opinions, share my thoughts with the world. Because I've always been told by colleagues, friends, peers that man, you be saying some real, like your perspective on things is very unorthodox, is very different, and you man, you funny man, you a funny dude, and I was like, you know what? Why not sit here and bet on me and try to do something different and bring something that's raw, authentic, and unfiltered in a sense. Now, don't get me wrong. When I say unfiltered, I ain't finna be out here cussing like crazy and doing all this other stuff because there might be kids that might tap in and want to listen to what I have to say, or even young adults. A lot of my students that I've either mentored or have worked under me in capacity. They know I don't do that cursing. I don't want you cursing because when we get into the real world, that's held against you in a sense. That means that you are being unprofessional. Now, again, when I say being not being politically correct, that kind of goes against that in a sense, right? But sometimes you got to play the long game. So, without further ado, let me get into this episode. This episode basically is the intro. Letting you all know about myself, why I started this podcast, and what to expect in a sense. Because, man, I'm super excited, to get this started. And yeah, so without further ado, again, my name is Kwali, and that's one of my aliases. It's not my real name. I have a few names, and in further series and further episodes, well, seasons. I mean, not series. In further seasons, I'm going to have guest appearances, of course, and some of those people are people that I went to college with, went to high school with, and many of them are going to call me by my nickname, my other nickname, which is Deuce. And how I got that nickname, as you can see, I got my one of my alma mater hoodies on, and I played football in college, so and I actually got the name in high school. Funny story, one of the seniors saw me, and I was a running back, and he's like, man, you like Deuce McAllister. So for those of you who don't know who Deuce McAllister is, um, he was a world class running back who played for the New Orleans Saints back in the 2000 late 90s, early 2000s, all the way up almost to the 2000. Yeah, I think that's what it was. But yeah, he played in the game and he had a pretty illustrious career. But everybody said I kind of resemble him, so I was like, yeah, whatever. I kind of adopted it because I never really had a cool nickname growing up, so that I took on to that. So, but now I go by Kwali, which is an abbreviation of my day name, my Ghanaian day name, and my middle name. So, I like that. So again, that's one of my aliases. So when you see me on social media, when you see the different platforms that I'm on, it's going to say Kwali. So just keep that in mind, people. But again, so I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, born and raised, 414 stand up. Grew up on the north side of town. So for those of you who are, checking in, and you might be from the home city, north side, grew up off Chambers, grew up off Locust, 28th Street, Hopkins, Capitol. It's all over, what I'm saying, as they would say, kind of the zoo and, the trays. So that's where I grew up at. It was a pretty interesting upbringing, very humble in a sense. In a sense, a single mother, but she had a husband at some point. They got married. I don't really use the term father, stepfather, because, if you weren't in my life in that capacity, or I felt like you didn't have a positive, you know, um, inkling on my life, I don't, it's just that's just kind of how I conduct myself. Ain't no man my father, ain't no man my stepfather. I don't do that. So, yeah, grew up with humble beginnings, and yeah, that really set the platform for who I am as a person. Growing up with my mother, being probably one of the strongest persons I know. Her not having much of an education, but really stressing the whole essence of having an education. So I took that and ran with it, um, and it led me to greater things. So again, grew up Milwaukee North Side, went to like 14 different schools through K through 5, and then finally went to one middle school, and then went to one high school, and then left and went to college. In college, I got a study exercise sports science after changing my major 5 or 6 times. Graduated with that with a concentration in coaching. So when I graduated college, went on to be a strength and condition coach and a position coach. So I coached college football, but I trained different athletes from football, women's soccer, women's softball, just to name a few. And then, did that for a couple of years. And then from there, went on, moved to Georgia, was down there coaching and training individuals or whatnot. And from there, moved back to Wisconsin. You know, my son was born after I graduated. So me, him, and his mom, we moved down to Georgia. Was down there for a little bit. She wanted to move back home, so we moved back to the mill. I was there and kind of felt stagnant because I'm like, I really had a lot going on. So I eventually went back to get my master's, which I got in educational leadership. Um, and after that, I switched over to student affairs. So I've been working in education for about 8 years now, and that's had its up and downs, and I kind of talk about that at a later point. But again, after I finished my master's, moved to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, worked at that university for a little bit, well, for a year, working as a pre-college coordinator, and then from there went on to I applied to grad school again, applied to a PhD program, got accepted, and then from there moved to Baltimore, Maryland. So I was there for about 2.5, 3 years, working on my PhD and working at Morgan State University, which was a great experience. And then after that, COVID kind of hit and things got a little wild. So from there, I ended up moving to Arizona. So I moved to Arizona back in 2020. So I've been here now almost 2 years now, and in the midst of that, I worked at a few universities here, dealt with a lot of racism. So decided that I wanted to take a leap of faith and bet on me. So all I've been doing now is working on my business, Blended Development LLC. If you don't know, check in with me. I do a lot of financial literacy, financial advising pieces for people. So that's what I've been doing with that. I'm tapped into the real estate game. I work with a couple of investors out here. We're in a couple states in the U.S. And I serve as a life coach in a sense. I'm not a licensed life coach, but if you need one of those quality talks, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna make sure that you know what you need to know so you can get to where you need to go. Because I'm all about giving free game. Because for the longest, especially within our community, we're always trying to hide and keep things from others because it's kind of that, oh, if I tell you, you're gonna do better than me, or you're gonna take from me in a sense. But that's never it happens, but that's been socially put on us based on the colonizers. So we got to get out of that mindset. We got to get into a mindset of we're here, we're collective community. When you look at the African people, which are we in a sense, we are very collective. We always work together. When you hear the term "it takes a village to raise a child," that is the essence of us. We've always worked together. We've always been a collective people. But I'm gonna get into that in a later episode. as we go through the motions of my podcast in a sense. So yeah, but uh, moved out here, like I said, 2 years, almost 2 years ago, and this is where I met my current fiance. And yeah, just been working on me, grinding and finding ways to tap in with the community so that I can help them build. So yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. That's been my journey in terms of where I've been, where I'm going, and other aspirations that I may have. And that's kind of what it is. But you're kind of wondering. So you gave us a little insight about your life. Your journey in a sense from jobs, education. Your upbringing in a sense. So why the title? Why Nah Stop Playing? So the reason why I came up with that, how I came up with that name for this podcast slash show was, at first I was going to call it Unpopular Opinion, but after doing some research, I'm like, man, that's like 100 podcasts out here with the same name. And for me, I like to be authentic. I like to be an innovator. I like to be creative. So I want to do things based on me in a sense. I want to leave a stamp on the world. I want to have my own footprint in a sense. So I was like, what's catchy and will catch people's eyes and represents what I want to do with this podcast slash show, right? So I was listening to Confessions the other day. It's Usher, his album, and then as y'all know, on the one song Confessions Part One, he's having a whole conversation while he in the studio. Look, I'm in the studio, and then whoever they say something on the other end, he be like, "For real? Nah, stop playing." And when he said that, I was like, bingo. That's the one right there for me. That's what I'm gonna call my podcast, because I want people to be like, nah, Quali, stop playing. You can't say that, bro. Or you can't think that, bro. That's not traditional. That's not within the norm of what we talk about or how we feel in society. How dare you sit here and think or feel or express yourself in that manner? But that's just who I am. That's me as a person. Anybody that knows me, if you talk to them and they tell you about me, they're gonna say that, man, bro, he talk his ish. He a straight shooter. He a stand up dude, and he don't really hold no punches, man. That's just kind of how he is. He gonna say how he feel, and in some cases it may rub people the wrong way, but I try to do it in an eloquent way so that I'm a pretty clever dude. I got a silver tongue, so I can say some things, and but at the end of the day, that's the essence of who I am as a person. I love to speak what's on my mind, and at the end of the day, if you don't like it, no, it is what it is. Like, my opinion is my opinion. I'm not saying that it's fact. That's just my opinion. That's just the way I feel about it. That's what I've conjured up with my thoughts. That's the logic that I bring to the table based on my understanding. If you don't like it, you got to figure it out, because I'm gonna be who I'm gonna be, and I'm not gonna let anyone change me as far as who I am and what I do. And a lot of people like that about me. So it's not being cocky. It's not being arrogant. I think it's just me and my personality. I just have a strong personality, and everybody wants you to conform to being soft and gentle and catering to people's feelings and thoughts. Like, nah, like, I'm gonna be respectful, but at the same time, I'm gonna say what I gotta say. Respectfully, this is how I feel. That's what it is. You can take hate it or love it, what I'm saying, in my game voice. And that's just kind of what it is. But that was the inspiration behind the name of the podcast, and that's just kind of what it is. But yeah, but just some more insight. I'm an avid learner, avid researcher. So, when I bring information to you, it's because I've, acquired it over time from reading, watching documentaries, speaking with people in higher places or that are more knowledgeable than me, because I love to sit at the table with people that have more knowledge than me, because how do you expect to learn if you're the smartest person at the table? Now, I'm not saying you can't learn from someone who's not doing something that you're doing. You can always learn, but it's best to be in a position where you're around individuals who, in a sense, have more acquired knowledge than you, or specialized knowledge that you don't have. So I really tap in with that, and that's my focus when it comes to learning and things of that nature. So when I bring this information, there's facts behind it. So even though it's my opinion may not flow with you in a sense, but the facts are there. Numbers don't lie. So, if you go fact check it, but you better be right. You better be correct on it, because it ain't. I'm a tough cookie, so I'm gonna hold my ground. And unless you prove me wrong, I'm gonna hold my ground. So, But yeah, but I really the real essence of this podcast was for me to be expressive, to you know people to be able to tap into my mind because I'm always thinking, I'm always conjuring up things, and I'm never on idle. I'm never idle. My mind is never idle. I'm always thinking because we've been led to believe a lot of things, and I know a lot of these things aren't real or they are very condensed or watered down. So for me, I want to bring the essence of what it is. And I can learn from other people too. When you tap in, if you leave a comment and be like, "Hey, by the way, you were wrong on this." Okay, cool. I'll take that. I'll take that on the chin too, because at the end of the day, as a man, excuse me, as a man, I take accountability for things that if I'm not correct on it or if it's something that it's a misstep, I take accountability. Because that's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to sit here and whine and pout and be like, nah, and bicker and banter. No, if you're wrong about something and there's actual proof about it, you take that on the chin and you call it a day. I guarantee you we'll be a better society if we were able to do that as a people. But people are too emotionally invested in, being correct all the time or thinking that their feelings is the end all be all of what it is when that's not even the case. So yeah, but the podcast is here to drop gems for people to take and run with. Because I'm talking about multiple topics. I'm talking about relationship stuff. I'm talking about financial literacy. I'm talking about the essence of being a man based on my experiences, but also my perspective. Yeah, not saying that what it is because there's no blueprint to anybody, male, female, non-binary, all that. There's no blueprint to it. You just kind of learn as you go, and you adapt certain things that you feel are a representation of how you feel in a sense, right? So again, I'm here to educate, I'm here to inform, and I'm here to create a safe space or a space for people that might have similar perspectives, similar ideologies for them to come and be like, man, I appreciate what bro said because I've been feeling like that for a long time, but I've never had anybody to talk to, or I felt like I had nobody I can go to about it. But now I know that there's someone else that shares similar opinions, thoughts, and ideologies as I do. So I really want to use this platform to you know, again, like I said, educate, inform, and bring people together, but also, you know, give our community something. We need something in our community. And I'm saying that I don't like using this term because I feel like it's not real. But the black community. I think we need something. We need something to hold on to. And I feel like this can be a catalyst, it can be a vehicle for us to be able to come together and work together to strive for something greater. So yeah, but with that being said, that's the whole essence of this podcast. I'm super excited to come to you all. I'm planning on dropping videos, if not once every day, every other day, but at the bare minimum once a week. I want to bring content all the time. I want to get different people on here in different industries that are in a sense an expert in a sense. They're very knowledgeable about the topic and can teach us something. And shout out to all the other podcasters out here. Earn Your Leisure because I've learned a lot from them. Um, I, I, I ain't gonna talk on them other brothers, but I think they podcast kind of fabricated because I've talked to some people in that they have introduced, and those people was some frauds. So, but we're not gonna get into that. But again, shout out to all the podcasters out there that's really dropping gems and helping people, and not trying to get a ridiculous fee from people to uh, join for this, sign up for this, to get mentoring because you had to learn from somebody too. And I'm pretty sure you wasn't dropping money like that. Unless you got some prudent information that's gonna change the world, eh, nah. And also too, man, if you out here trying to sell ebooks about a mastermind class, stop that. You suck. You a sucker because most of y'all be scamming and doing and giving invalid information. Don't do that. Like I said, I'm here to educate and inform. So the game is to be told, not to be sold, in my opinion, because the money gonna come regardless. If you doing what you need to do, the money gonna come regardless. It's probably gonna be passive. But if you're trying to get that immediate money, that instant gratification, that means you really scamming for real. So And I get it. We got to get our money. You got to get your coins. You got to get your flowers while you here. I understand that wholeheartedly. But people stop taking advantage of these people out here because you found a way to get over and you really scamming out here. Don't do that, man. That ain't cool. Especially in our community. We've been screwed over enough. So we don't need people within our community treating people in our community wrong. So keep that in mind when you're doing these things and setting up these instances, because we watching y'all. We watching y'all. Stop that. You a buster. But again, thank you for tuning in with me. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification button, hit that holy trinity for me, because I'm telling you, I'm dropping information all the time. You know, every day, if not every other day, if not at least once a week, I'm dropping information, prudent information, and maybe it'll change your life. And if it does, that's gonna warm my heart. Because again, that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the people. I'm not saying I'm the people's champ, but I'm here to help my people figure it out, because we got a lot of things we need to fix in our community. And it starts with you. It starts with me. We have to figure something out. Then we come together and it's one cohesive unit. So yeah. So just be on the lookout. I'm also on other platforms. If you want to check me out, I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple Podcasts. I'm on Google Podcasts. I'm working on other things. And again, I'm a one man machine. So I'm doing all this on myself. I'm doing the editing. I'm doing the uploading. I'm creating the thumbnails. I'm doing everything by myself. And that's the best way to do it. You learn that you learn by doing everything by yourself. And then once you make it to that point, then you branch out to find people to come in and you monetize. I mean, you mitigate and you delegate tasks or whatnot. So that's my mindset on it. But without further ado, this is the Non-Stop Playing Podcast. It's your boy Quad Lee. Please tap in with me. Please tap in with me. I appreciate y'all more than you know, and I'm excited to go on this journey with y'all. So tap in with me. Again, I'm gonna be dropping that content, and it's gonna be fire. So with that being said, blessings to you all. Be safe out there, and I'll see y'all on the next episode. Y'all take care now.